Welcome to ALP Corner, Family Law in the Heart of Houston.
Welcome to ALP Corner, Family Law in the Heart of Houston with Miss Allecia L, Pottinger, CEO of the ALP Law Firm. I'm your host, Evan Mack, and today's episode is the hidden cost of divorce, what most people don't budget for. How you doing, Miss Allecia?
I'm doing well, Evan. Thanks for asking. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. It's a little rainy out here, but you know, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? I got allergies, so I'm good with the rain, to be honest with you, every now and again.
I love the rain, especially with some cognac and by a fireplace.
Oh, man, wait a minute now. Hold on. We can change the conversation. Hold on. First things first. What are some of the biggest financial surprises that clients face when they unfortunately have to get that divorce?
You know, one of the things that is probably the biggest and major expense is clients will want their children to be represented. And when the court appoints an amicus attorney, it's just like them paying for their counsel. They have to also, in addition to that, pay for the attorney that represents their children. So that's a big major cost that most clients are not prepared for, but they can make it work because that cost is at least split between the other parent. So it's not like one parent is paying the whole freight for the amicus attorney. It's basically split between them. The second biggest cost that I find that clients aren't aware of is the cost for experts. They want to have counselors attend. We do depositions. Those depositions are costly because you have to pay the court reporter, you have to pay the stenographer, you have to pay the videographer and the attorney at that time and the expert that you're bringing into court via deposition or live, because those experts, via like therapists, doctors, you name it, they will end up charging their fee and cost as well. And the last that I think clients aren't prepared for is the mediator fee. When you do mediation, and here in Harris County, it is required that you do mediation before temporary orders and also before final trial. And so clients are not used to having to pay mediation fees, and they get kind of caught off guard for those. Those are the three bigger issues that I find that they're not prepared for.
Ms. Allecia, sidebar question: Do you ever? How do you kind of use your empathy or your personal? Do you bring your personal thoughts process into something like this because it's such a personal thing? How do you maintain that professional like demeanor while someone's going through something as difficult as divorce?
There's no way you can do this job and not have a passion for people. So bottom line, I've been divorced, so I have a lot of empathy for my clients. I understand how they feel. I understand blended family issues because I'm remarried. And my husband had children before we got married. So I understand it. I get it. These are emotional. When somebody cheats on you, it's emotional. And so I let them be where they are. I'm not trying to beat them over the head and say, get over it and let's move on. I also try to encourage my clients to go seek counseling.
And how can that right attorney, how can that right counsel, like early on, help reduce long-time divorce costs?
It basically will keep them from using attorney time as a talk time to vent and the frustrations, and that cuts down on costs because you're paying me $500 an hour to listen to you complain about your spouse or the other parent. That's not an effective use of your dollars. When you can pay a therapist $100 an hour or $200 an hour to talk it over and come up with some solutions for your feelings and your emotions that will probably be better served with a therapist or divorce coach.
You touched on it a little bit earlier, but can you talk about hidden or indirect costs people should plan for, like moving expenses, temporary housing, things like that they might encounter?
Yes, because everyone. I find this mostly with stay-at-home moms. They want to stay in the home, and it's just not. Sometimes it's just not economically feasible. Those are costs that they have to pay. Moving cost. Another biggie is cost for what we call in legal terms QDRO, which is a domestic relations order fee. And what it is that the plan administrator is not what money that comes to us, but the plan administrator charges for separating the retirement account. And those fees can run anywhere between $750, $500. It just depends on the plan administrator. And if you have some really detailed, complicated domestic relations orders that need to go out, then you have to hire somebody who specializes in that, and that can run you an additional 500 per
Wow.
QDRO that you do. Yeah.
Can you talk to me about business owners or high earners, and how they protect their income and assets during a divorce? Is it different for them? The more money you make, is it harder?
It really is contingent on the vehicle in which they use in their business. If they're
Mm,
sole proprietor, good riddance. It's not very much you can do. Bottom line, half of everything, all profits and losses for that matter, are community property. When you look at if the business was started after the marriage. Now, when you get into the LLCs and your
mhm,
corporations or partnerships, let's separate that. The partnership, you only have an interest, the spouse only has an interest in the partnership. They don't own the partnership. So I have to counsel clients on saying, those assets belong to the partnership. It doesn't belong to the partner. And so
mm,
you have to separate that interest and do a business evaluation on what the business is worth. And at that particular point, separate and divide that by the amount of partners that you have. And then you can tell what your partnership interest is and what it's worth, and that will be divided. LLCs, and again, same thing. Assets belong to the LLC. The
mhm,
members or the person that may manage the LLC has a salary, has some benefits, has some distributions. Those things can be tapped into, but to dissolve, take out all the assets, no. The LLC is an entity of itself, and same with the corporation. The corporation and the LLC are living, breathing entities, and they have their own rights as individuals, if we will call it that. They may not be human being individuals, but for the legal realm, they are individuals and they have certain rights. And those rights are the assets of the company stays with the company. And so if the spouse has the right vehicle, most of the time what you're going to do is you're going to use your vehicle as the flow through. And then
mm.
therefore you are minimizing your exposure.
The one thing I think always comes up when it comes to getting a lawyer is the cost, and worrying about the cost and how to pay for the lawyer for the service that you want them to provide. What kind of advice could you give someone who is hesitant to file because of that?
It is a cost. Everything that we do in society is a cost. But I tell you what, I can't count the many times that people have done it themselves and ended up costing themselves more money because they did it themselves on the back end rather than just paying an attorney on the front end and doing it right in the beginning. And so you save money by hiring a professional. A professional will also be able to navigate the things that you're not aware of and those little backdoor loopholes that end up coming up. Oops, the oops that happen, and you will know about them a little bit quicker than if you're doing it yourself with an attorney. You'll know about them a lot quicker.
So can you talk to me about smart ways to to prep financially before filing divorce?
Yes, you start a fund. My mom, old school, said you always keep your money on the side. You have a stash, it's your hard time
Yeah.
stash. So whenever you have emergencies, you call it emergency fund. If you don't want your spouse to know, call it an emergency fund. Honey, I'm stacking up an emergency fund, and it will be your fund for the purpose of litigation costs and to hire an attorney. I would say that clients should be prepared to spend at least $75,000 to $15,000 on an attorney.
Wow.
If you're
Wow.
talking about a divorce with children, because that becomes very contentious, and not only are you dividing up the assets of the marriage, but you're also dividing up the kids and how that's going to go.
And finally, why, if the people at home listening, why should they go to Miss Allecia L. Pottinger? Why should they go to you, my?
We are the best. No. If you're looking for compassionate care, if you're looking for someone who understands where you are, if you're looking for someone who, we kind of kid ourselves, and we play around with words, and we say we take the drama out of baby mama drama, but we could take the drama out of baby daddy drama. Bottom line, we are very client focused, and we try to get back with our clients within 24 hours, maybe the same day, but at the maximum 24 hours. We strive to make sure that the clients are informed about their case and understand they're educated as along the way, and they're kept informed of what is going on in the case. And a lot of attorneys out there, you'll see a lot of bar complaints that, my attorney doesn't tell me what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Well, you won't find that at the ALP Law Firm.
Incredible. Thank you all for tuning in to the ALP Corner, family law in the heart of Houston, Miss Allecia L. Pottinger. To connect with Allecia and her team, head to alplawfirm.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, and review. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.